All right, so it's doing the transition, and we should be live now. Yep, and it's showing up on YouTube that we're live now. So, yep, so we are live on YouTube, and we have Walter and Cheryl from the South Thomaston Select Board, and Paul Vessel from Real Term Energy, and Nadira also from Real Term Energy. And we're going to be discussing the streetlight LED conversion project that the town's been working on and working with Real Term on. And Real Term has just completed their investment grade audit. And so we'll just be reviewing that and do an overview and then ask any questions and answers.
All right, I'm going to call the select board to order, and we do have a quorum. Are there adjustments to this agenda?
I don't have any, no.
Okay.
Done.
Proceed.
Okay. Oh, and I don't know, have you distributed the one pager to folks?
Yes, I have.
Yes, I have it in front of me.
Okay, so probably a good place to start. Again, I'm Paul Vassell with Real Term Energy, and then Nadira, who's going to be your single point of contact project manager, is joining me.
Hello, everyone.
So, going through the inventory of 51 fixtures, we've now proposed what the replacement fixtures are going to look like with the LED conversion. And you have those listed in the baseline and replacement LED inventory. All right. So we're looking roughly across the board on the average 75% savings. On a line by line basis, your energy consumption goes down by 66%. Your equipment charges, because you're now taking ownership of the streetlights from Central Maine Power, those disappear. More 6,033, they go down to zero. And then you have a 66% reduction in both your delivery charges and your supply charges. Maintenance,
I'm sorry.
it looks
Paul,
like
supply?
I'm sorry?
Supply, what is that?
It's one of the line charges that your tariff is broken down with CMP.
Oh, okay.
The maintenance cost, although it's listed as zero, the CMP, just like all the other utilities, when they charge municipalities for streetlights, they incorporate everything into their what they call the lighting equipment charges, and they don't per se break it out as, you know, one is a lease cost, one's a maintenance cost. So for the purposes of this exercise, we put a zero there, although we know that it's included in the lighting equipment charges. But what we have incorporated is a maintenance cost when we go over those lights. And this is it's a conservative number based on the experience that we've had now with close to 300,000 lights. We've seen failure rates on the average of 0.4%. So we could expect cost to be under this, but as it's an investment grade audit, we'd rather be conservative on that than the other way around. The other savings numbers are highly predictable because we're dealing with a non-metered service. So once we know what the wattage is on the fixtures and we know how many hours your lights are on, we know with a great deal of certainty what these savings are going to look like. All right. That gives you a project payback of 4.4 years and a net project savings of $146,810. We put in the adder for smart controls. Now, Owen, remind me, and Nadira, have you made a definitive decision yet on smart controls?
I don't want to speak for the board, but all the discussions that we've had have included smart controls as something that we have rolled into our financing.
Very good. Okay. Yeah.
Right. But you know, our financing is still subject to town meeting, Paul.
Okay. Yeah, the vast majority of the projects that we've done in the last year and a half have incorporated smart controls. We're finding the municipalities are finding that the benefits of having the ability to dim and trim their lights, and from a service maintenance standpoint, to be able to be proactive and have signals sent when those lights are failing or have failed, rather than to have to wait for a visual identification of an outage. We find those to be the primary benefits. And since the cost of the smart controls have come down quite a bit over the last 2 or 3 years, as you can see here, it adds from a project payback of 4.4 years, it knocks it up to 5.2 years, so not a significant increase in payback time, and provides you with technology which most municipalities are finding useful moving forward. All right. Yeah, we put in the cost of acquisition. This is for analysis. Obviously, it's not something that we control. Where are you with your buyback with Central Maine Power?
So we've engaged with Central Maine Power as far as, informing them that we're exploring this. We have the different agreements with them. We haven't signed them because we don't yet have the financing to acquire those. But we've been dealing with them. The last kind of items are getting the financing through town meeting. And then I will likely be disputing 3 of those charges. I know that the fixtures themselves, it's like a kind of negligible acquisition cost, but I don't want to be purchasing lease space from CMP for lights that don't exist. So there's some potential that $6,520 amount will come down, but not a huge amount.
Okay.
I have Owen.
Yes.
So this exhibit talks about 51, and I remember 54. So are those the 3 that don't exist that CMP says we own?
Yes. So when they did the investment grade audit, they found that CMP had listed one of the poles that comes to mind was the one by the town landing. They claimed that there were 3 fixtures on that pole. There are 2. And then there were other ones that claimed that there were 2 when there's actually, in fact, just 1. And so they asked whether or not we wanted to put a 3rd one on there. My response to Realterm as far as the audit and the pricing of this was keep the lighting how it currently is, not how CMP claims it is. So that's why that number went down.
Good, thanks.
Okay. The other details here, these are smart ready LED fixtures with 7-pin dimmable drivers. Everything comes, all the equipment comes with a 10-year warranty. Right.
One second on that, Paul. I was looking over the warranty statement and I just didn't know, can you clarify, because, you know, items are listed at 10 years warranty, but then it cascades down as well. There's warranty for 10 years on certain items, 8 years on other items, 6, 5, 3, 2, and 1. So are you saying that it's 10 across the board for the items that we have? I just don't know enough of the technical jargon to know whether the power sentry or the sensor switch, which have a 5-year warranty, is different from the items that are listed as a 10-year warranty.
Yeah, did you already have access to the warranty information?
No, I would have to look that up. I don't have that yet.
Okay, well, we'll have to get back to you on that. Yeah, my understanding is that the two primary components, which are the luminaire and the photocell, and this would be the same for smart controls. They all carry 10-year warranties, meaning that should an item fail, it will be replaced at no cost. Now, the warranties do not cover labor, and so when we calculate what your estimated maintenance costs are going to be, that's the labor costs. The manufacturers provide the equipment, but we still have to send a bucket truck up there and replace the fixture.
Yes, and I did notice that under the kind of cost pricing scheme under Headstrom Electric, they don't have any price for the warranty. So I'm assuming that the installation isn't under warranty. But Headstrom's a local company. I've known the owner for a while, so I feel comfortable that we can work with him formally and informally. And I'm also been looking into, and maybe you have some information on this. Recently, under our insurance statements, our insurance provider is now asking about streetlight acquisition, and so I'm waiting to hear a little bit back from them. But do you have any information, Paul, on insurance on these items and how that's gone for other municipalities?
Yeah, I know the cost is nominal. Essentially, what you're going to be protecting yourselves against are pole knockdowns. So if there is a pole that's knocked down, Central Maine Power will be responsible for putting that pole back up, but you will be on the hook for the cost of replacing either the mast arm and or the fixture, you know, depending on what the damage is when that pole comes down. So that's what our clients are taking insurance out for that eventuality. I don't know I don't have any numbers in front of me, but I know that it's a nominal charge.
Great. Yeah,
No,
and
just
I did. Yep,
kick
I'm
in.
sorry.
That if it's an automobile or whatever, the liability, their insurance would cover an item like that.
Yeah. No, I wasn't referring to liability. I was just referring to the cost of replacement of the equipment.
Yeah, I used the wrong term, but the responsibility for covering that would be on an insured person or persons.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, vehicle.
Yeah, and I did receive an email back from our insurance provider saying that they were going to review that and give us some additional information on what insurance was. I provided them some of the documentation that Realterm provided us so that they could understand the value of the items.
I got a couple of questions when it's time. Need
Sure.
kick in. I remember some discussion between about a fuse or a breaker between CMP and Realterm for that fixture. Was that all straightened out?
Yes. There were. I think one of the advantages of doing your conversion later rather than earlier. There were some issues with the initial fuses that were selected by CMP. That has long been rectified with Falmouth and South Portland, Biddeford. But all projects include a fuse, which we we support, even when the utilities don't mandate this. We think it makes sense to have a demarcation point, which will clearly divide your assets, which you're going to own from the grid side and from the municipal side. So both sides are protected against, power surges, and we can work on your lights with a disconnect without having to go back to the utility.
Very good. One other question before, you may not be able to answer it unless you've discovered it somewhere else, but we've been leasing the lights, and if this switches over, is there any indication that CMP is going to start metering and charging towns for usage of power?
We haven't seen any indication. Now metering could go to your benefit, and this is something that took place in Massachusetts last year, because so many cities and towns had incorporated smart controls, and most, on the average, when they're incorporating smart controls, they're decreasing rather than increasing the voltage on the average. So the Massachusetts Public Service Commission now has mandated that National Grid and Eversource, the two utilities that operate in Massachusetts, that they have to provide metered billing so that municipalities who were using smart controls could realize the savings.
Okay. Thank you.
That hasn't happened in Maine yet, but there seems to be enough critical mass formulating that, at some point in the near future, and we'll assist in that, to go to the PUC in Maine and see if we can make that happen.
Let's go back to the reliability statistic again. So give me the reliability data on the lights, the lights.
Right. So the lights that we've selected are L70 rated for 100,000 hours, or 23.9 years. What that means is, on the average, 30% of the diodes over 100,000 hours will have failed. All right. What we're seeing from just a strict failure rate, not talking about diodes, but a light failing such that it's you want to replace it. Those failure rates, and again, we've deployed close to 300,000 fixtures, are in the 0.5 or 0.4, 0.5% range. The manufacturers typically stipulate that failures will be 6% over 10 years, or on the average 0.6. So both our experience, as well as the city of Los Angeles, which has the largest, oldest conversion in the country, 8 or 9 years now, 250,000 fixtures, they're also seeing the same sort of lower failure rates as we are.
How has the technology, how has the underlying technology changed since LA did their conversion?
Oh, it's gotten better. The lumens per watt has gone up. The efficiencies have gone up. The failures have gone down. So again, these are robust numbers from LA, even with 8-9-year-old technology, and the numbers are just getting better.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
So I guess my question would be, where do we go from here?
So the next step would be, we'll need your signature on this document in order to proceed to procurement of the materials, as well as the labor. Once we have that, Nadira, what sort of lead times can we imagine now for these lights?
Yeah, because there are some delays because of the COVID-19. It may be up to like 4 to 6 or even 8 weeks, especially for the smart nodes, for it to get delivered.
And
So let's,
obviously, we have our,
Yeah.
our budget that we would have to pass even to sign the document to get going, so we're all behind here.
Yeah, if I had to speculate, I think some of the other towns, I feel like I just saw that Union was starting to do their installation already. Some of the towns that had gotten their financing prior to COVID are moving forward. So if I had to speculate, and please, Nadira or Paul chime in, we would still be kind of on schedule with the other towns. We would just be a little bit later than we wanted, and probably would be one of the last Knox County towns to get it installed, because we're just a little bit behind on getting our financing approved, hopefully at town meeting. Does that make sense?
sure. When is
Yeah.
the town meeting?
Yet to be determined.
Oh, okay.
We have a meeting at the end of this month to discuss it again, review some options, see if there's been any additional guidance from the state that might help us out. That's been an ongoing challenge for us here in the town, because town meeting, I mean, you're in Massachusetts, so I think you're somewhat familiar. Town meeting is a in-person and somewhat intimate structure, and with us practicing social and physical distancing, it's just difficult for us to get that done at this time. But we're going to continue to work on some options and put that question of financing this out to the town whenever the board feels that it's the proper time.
Okay.
Any questions from the audience, Owen?
No, I've been watching it. I haven't seen any questions yet, no.
Okay. All right, so I think the board's level of commitment to this is still in place. We just have to go through our fundraising or fund approval side. And as Owen said, that's uncertain at the moment. We're trying to look at ways to pass the budget without having a full-fledged town meeting. But if we have to have a full-fledged town meeting, it's going to be conducted under guidelines, et cetera, governed by COVID. So stay tuned. We're all learning to live with uncertainty.
Yes. Yes.
And just primarily for the board's knowledge, but I guess anyone else watching this, I will send out an email to the other participating Knox County towns to figure out where they're at with their financing, whether they've already gotten it, if it was something that's been on hold because of COVID, to get a better sense of the installation timeframes, and just so I can keep everyone informed on, roughly speaking, what some of the other towns are doing. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, we're all basically contracting with the same person and trying to do it as a bit of a collective. We just might be one of the last towns to get it done.
That's right. So how are you financing this?
Through a loan through a banking institution, and then we've proposed in our budget to keep our street light line basically flat and use the cost savings from the energy and the lease to pay that loan back over time. So it wouldn't be a budget increase, but we do need approval to do the borrowing from our legislative body at town meeting.
Okay. Right.
Paul, regardless, whether we were financing or appropriating, the fact is the town has to approve this.
Okay.
So we missed our opportunity because we had to cancel. Our town meeting was scheduled for March 31st. So this would all be behind us had we been able to have our town meeting, but we couldn't because the state got shut down.
Okay. I stated it before, but it's worth stating again that the savings on this project and the reason that they're so simple to finance is risk-free. It's highly predictable. It's a mere calculation of wattage reduction times hours of usage. So if anybody has any concerns about it, this project will be positive cash flow, and you will have the savings, and they will they will amply exceed your loan payments. Nadira, in terms of the timing of the other projects, can you fill these folks in on where they are?
Yeah, I think we just finished wrapping up Thomaston, and then we're gonna get started on Camden and Union as well. Yeah, and then Rockport and Rockland. So these are all towns that are still left, and which probably will be working throughout June for those towns.
Okay. All right. Obviously this, you guys are moving as fast as you can, and if you can get approval on this sooner rather than later, then it would facilitate doing your deployment right on the heels of the last of the group. Right.
Okay, I'm all set.
I'm all set.
Paul, thank you. Nadira, thank you. You
Thank
guys do
you.
well. Be safe.
If you have any other doubts or questions, ONJ, feel free to reach out. We're here.
Definitely. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.